With the M5 MacBook Pro, iPad Pro and Vision Pro out, you may be wondering, where's the Mac Mini? It's been unusually quiet on that front, and I have to admit, I'm puzzled myself. At the very least, Apple could update the base M5 Mac Mini right now, since the M5 chipset's ready and a simple chip swap refresh would be easy, but recent reports give us a clearer picture of what's coming, and it looks like the wait might stretch well into 2026. Mark Gurman has revealed that Apple is actively developing new versions of the Mac Mini and Mac Studio, with those machines likely getting the M5, M5 Pro, and M5 Max and Ultra chipsets. Alongside these desktops, Apple's also working on two external displays, at least one of which will be the second generation Studio display. It's possible these displays could debut alongside the upgraded Mac Mini and Mac Studio, though there's no confirmed release date yet. Apple Insider then added more context. The unreleased Mac Mini currently under development has the identifiers J873S and J873G, while the next-gen Mac Studio is known as J775C and J775D. The 2026 Mac Studio could ship with macOS 26.4, and at the time of writing, macOS 26.4 also supports a Mac known as J833CT, which may be an iMac based on previous identifiers. So as a result, these three desktops, Mac Mini, a Mac Studio, and possibly an iMac, will most likely debut after the high-end M5 Pro and M5 Max MacBook Pros in early 2026. For reference, the M2 Max and Ultra Mac Studio was announced in June 2023 with macOS 13.4, so this timeframe does suggest the updated Mac Mini and Mac Studio could arrive in summer 2026, perhaps at WWDC. So why the delay? It's unusual, especially since the base M5 Mac Mini could be a simple chip swap. Maybe they want to launch all their desktops at once with the M5 generation and the M5 Ultra and the Mac Studios pushing the timeline further? Who knows, but either way, it leaves the base Mac Mini sitting on the sidelines longer than expected, which is odd when the M5 is already available in the MacBook Pro and iPad Pro. I wouldn't rule out the base M5 Mac Mini launching earlier, by the way, considering it would be a press release, Apple could launch it whenever, but reports right now unfortunately do suggest a summer 2026 release. That's a while away. So now you may be wondering if it's best to wait for the M5 Mac Mini next year, or just get the M4 Mac Mini now. Well, let me answer that, but first, if you enjoy in-depth coverage of Apple's upcoming products, hit that subscribe button and tap the hype button. It really helps a small channel like mine reach more Apple fans, and ensures you don't miss any of my M5 coverage or future leaks. Right, my advice is simple, guys. I would just get the M4 Mac Mini. I don't see the point in waiting for the M5 Mac Mini, especially when it could potentially launch as late as next June. That's months away. I would, by the way, advise not to buy the M4 Mac Mini for retail price because it's over a year old and it's often on discount nowadays for much less. Plus, you can find M4 models on Apple's refurbished site, and so ultimately, while the upgrades with the M5 chipset are nice, it's not worth waiting months for, especially if you're in dire need of an upgrade. What kind of upgrades can we expect? Well, since the M5 MacBook Pro and iPad Pro have gone official, we now know what to expect with the base M5 Mac Mini. The M5 built on 3rd generation 3nm technology brings pretty solid performance improvements over the M4. It features a 10-core GPU with a Neural Accelerator in each core, enabling AI workloads to run 4 times faster and offering up to 45% better graphics performance with 3rd generation ray tracing. The CPU has 10 cores, 6 efficiency and 4 performance cores, delivering up to 15% faster multi-core performance. Other upgrades include a 16-core neural engine for faster AI, a powerful media engine, and a nearly 30% increase in unified memory bandwidth to 153 gigs per second, supporting up to 32 gigs of unified memory. These enhancements deliver faster AI, graphics, and multi-threaded performance, as well as more realistic visuals and smoother rendering. That's a lot of jargon, but essentially for power users, yes, the upgrades are going to be noticeable when it comes to heavier workloads, especially GPU-wise, but for average users, day-to-day performance won't see a massive change, and so I still think most should just go ahead and buy the M4. The MacBook Pro did get 2 times faster storage, so I would expect that with the base M5 Mac Mini as well, though some in the comments had asked me if we would see an increase to the base storage option. Well, I do think that could be likely, considering the iPhone 17 now starts with 256 gigs of storage, and so it's a bit pathetic that some of the Macs offer the same amount of storage as an iPhone. So there is the possibility we get a base configuration of 16 gigs of unified memory and 512 gigs of storage for the same price, which would certainly sweeten the deal. This isn't confirmed by the way, and so again, if you can afford to wait, then by all means wait. But if you're in dire need of an upgrade, then yeah, just get the M4. Honestly, the only reason I was waiting for the M5 Mac Mini to launch is because it would make the M4 Mac Mini even cheaper. The M4 Mac Mini is already seeing discounts down to $499 in the US and similar drops in the UK, but when the M5 drops, prices are likely to fall even further. That's excellent news for budget-conscious buyers. The 2024 M4 redesign was the first since 2010, slimming the chassis, adding front-facing Type-C ports, and equipping Pro models with Thunderbolt 5. It's already a sleek, practical, and powerful machine, and considering the M5 will most certainly just be a spec refresh, the M4 will give you around 90% of the same experience for a lot less money, maybe even $399. Now, Apple isn't just dropping the M5 into the Mac Mini, we should also expect the M5 Pro, and we do see two different identifiers suggesting that we're expecting the M5 Pro and Max chipsets to go into the MacBook Pro first in early 2026, and if you're wondering why there's a delay in the first place, it has nothing to do with marketing and everything to do with architecture. The upcoming M5 Pro and M5 Max chips will most likely feature an entirely new design with separated GPU and CPU blocks, giving Apple the flexibility to mix and match configurations more freely. For example, customers could choose a model with a maxed out GPU but a base level CPU, or vice versa, depending on their workflow. It's a more modular approach that offers a better balance between performance, thermals, and cost. The base M5, however, doesn't get any of this new chip tech or design language. It's using the same unified structure we've seen from M1 through M4, which explains why Apple can release it earlier. The M5 Pro and Max, on the other hand, require new engineering, testing, and validation, which naturally pushes their timeline back into 2026. In short, Apple's not rushing those because they represent the start of a new chip era, while the M5 remains the last of the current one. If you think about it, this strategy makes perfect sense. Apple doesn't want to flood its assembly lines with 3 chip variants at once, especially if TSMC is scaling up production of the new 3nm node that the M5 series is built on. Launching the base models first gives Apple time to smooth out production issues, meet end-of-year demand, and keep the Mac lineup fresh heading into 2026. It's just puzzling to me why Apple couldn't just go ahead and release the base M5 Mac Mini if the Pro chip isn't ready to replace the M4 Pro model. To sum up, the M5 Mac Mini is still coming with both base and Pro options. Performance gains are solid, especially when it comes to the GPU. Design changes are unlikely since Apple only recently refreshed the Mini in 2024 with a new design. The real advantage may be in price reductions for the M4, making that an incredible value. Meanwhile, the Mac Studio and possibly an iMac is also in development, with identifiers and macOS 26.4 suggesting a coordinated summer 2026 release. So yeah guys, brace yourselves, this is shaping up to be a slow burn, but when it happens, it'll cover the entire desktop lineup with M5, M5 Pro, Max, and Ultra chipsets. So here's my advice, if you're on the fence. If you need the latest performance and you can afford to wait, the M5 Mac Mini is on the horizon and will give you better CPU and GPU speeds, possibly more base storage that's faster as well, and longer software support. But if you're in dire need of an upgrade, then just get the M4, and if you care about bang for your buck and don't mind waiting, then get the M4 once the M5 launches, and maybe then it could start at $399 from third parties or even less refurbished, and that would be very, very enticing. Anyway, if you're planning to buy the M4 Mac Mini right now, I'll leave links below. If you've made it this far, I want to hear from you guys. Would you pay extra for an M5 Mac Mini or get a discounted M4 model instead? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the hype button. It really helps a small channel like mine continue covering leaks, launches, and everything Apple has planned well into 2026.